like the 6th seed and I'm averaging 32 points, you take me off of that team, we're a lottery team.
Who won the MVP that year?
Tim Duncan got it that year. And you take him off of the Spurs, they still make the playoffs.
Whoa.
They make the playoffs. Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't, because a lot of those guys got their success off of him.
Bruh.
Yeah, he got double. He kicking out the Ginobili. No.
They have a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, Tim Duncan.
I'm saying, without Tim Duncan, they still are a playoff team.
No. They win game with that.
Stop Tim Duncan. You know what I mean? He's done it for so long. He's a smart basketball player. He's so skilled on both ends of the floor.
This is the way I feel about it. Do you know the name Jackie Robinson?
Absolutely.
The day after he died, his wife called me and said, I want you to be a pallbearer at Jackie's funeral. I said, but could I ask why? And she said, you were Jackie's favorite athlete. And I feel the same way about you. You've played hard, played smart, won championships, and I don't think you finished with that yet.
I'm not.
Really?
I want to win one more trophy.
First and foremost, rest in peace to Bill Russell. Those were beautiful words, and it's always great to hear his laugh and praise among other NBA talents. Now let's talk about the big fundamental. There's not many players that have laced them up that are better than Tim Duncan, yet when you look into the various rankings on various different articles or ratings lists or whatever, he falls very short of his deserving top 5 to top 6 placed. He could even be higher than top 5, it's just for you to decide. The problem I have is most lists actually have him ranked around 8 to 12. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll realize that they may be wrong and you might want to reconsider where you put him next time you go and rank the top 10 players. Let's start from the very beginning. Tim Duncan came into the league as the first pick in the 1997 NBA draft, and he made an instant impact with the San Antonio Spurs as they would go on to win 56 games there. And it's funny, we'll get to the end, but it's funny that he joins this team winning 56 games, and then they end with Tim Duncan and they end winning 67. Tim really was a winner his entire time in San Antonio. His rookie season, he played 82 games and averaged 21 points, 12 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks a night, as he was then rewarded with the Rookie of the Year award, an excellent start to his career. Tim would then go on to continue his statistical dominance for his pretty much entire career. He averaged 19 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks nearly a night. And what's really remarkable is during the Tim Duncan era, they actually almost won more games than the entire San Antonio Spurs existence. The Spurs won 1,072 regular season games while Tim Duncan was there, and without him in the 27 years, they won 1,174, so just a 102 game difference. Another impressive feat about this team is that they only finished below 50 wins one time during Tim Duncan's career, and that was during the NBA lockout where they only played 50 games total in 1998. Now let's talk about resumes. Comparatively speaking, we often see sometimes players like Wilt Chamberlain or Jerry West above him on these lists. Sometimes we see Shaquille O'Neal above him on this list. Sometimes we see Hakeem. And I'm not saying that, they're wrong. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But in 19 years with the same exact franchise, might I add, he was an extremely decorated player with an extremely decorated resume. A 15-time All-Star, a 5-time NBA champion, a 3-time Finals MVP, a 2-time regular season MVP, and a 15-time All-Defensive Team selection. Not to mention his 8 60-win seasons, his Rookie of the Year awards, his All-Star Game MVP awards, and many other rebounding leader achievements. Aside from his impressive stats and consistent resume, he's probably the least high maintenance superstar of all time, and you could argue that he is the least high maintenance superstar of all time, as you never heard him make a peep, you never heard him complain about his situation, or when things changed and it got tough, he never wavered. It's interesting to think that, once upon a time, Tim Duncan was actually going to go to the Orlando Magic. I'm sure you guys have probably heard the story where him and Doc Rivers sat, at dinner, and they were talking about how he was going to join Tracy McGrady and Grant Hill in Orlando. I believe it was in the summer of 2005. And then Doc Rivers had made a note once Tim Duncan's wife at the time said, hey, Well, what about family? Are the children and the wives allowed to fly on the team plane? And Doc Rivers shook his head and said, no, that's not going to happen. And needless to say, Tim and his girlfriend or wife, they did not like that answer. While the Spurs were already accommodating to that, they were ahead of, treating their superstars exactly as they wanted to be treated. So needless to say, he re-signed and continued to re-sign for the remainder of his 19-year career. Something I think that is very underrated about Tim Duncan's career is the fact that he stayed tremendously healthy while dominating the entire league on both ends of the ball for the majority of his almost 20-long NBA career. The least amount of games he ever played in a season, not counting the lockout, was 58 when he was 35 years old. He rarely played under 60 games a season, and honestly, for the most part, he was making around 70% or 70 games, I should say, as on average, if you take the stats, he played 73 games a season, even with that 50-game season lockout as an outlier. Throughout the years, not only has Tim won 5 championships in a very, very, very tough, I cannot stress this enough, Western Conference, he's only lost 1 NBA championship, and when you compare that to the likes of Will Chamberlain or Jerry West, who some people have higher on certain lists, it doesn't make much sense as he's 5-1, and the only time he lost was in 7 games to the Miami Heat in 2013, but he did what a lot of other people couldn't do and got his revenge the year after as they beat the Heat in 5 games. And if Ray Allen never hits that shot, we can't really, say this and play this game, but just for, perspective reasons, if Ray Allen never hits that shot, Tim Duncan's 6-0 in the NBA Finals, and we may be arguing he's a top 3, not top 5 player of all time. It's really crazy how one shot makes that big of a difference in the landscape of things. That's neither here nor there. That Western Conference, though, I just want to take a second to talk about it. He is often battling. A lot of people see like, oh, he beat the Nets, that's not that impressive. He beat the Pistons, that's not that impressive. That's very, very wrong, guys. He was having to defeat the Phoenix Suns during this time in the 60-win Suns era, the Kobe and Shaq Lakers in this time. Obviously, when he made the finals, often he was playing the Miami Heat, the Big Three Miami Heat, in his later finals appearances. And at the beginning, he didn't have Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker to aid him. It was just a very old Duncan Robinson. And not that the Admirable was, not great, but he was definitely slowing down and passing the torch to Tim, rightfully so. One thing I'd like to mention before we close this out with some final thoughts is that Tim also had some of the greatest single game stat lines in playoff history. First one that comes to mind is Game 6 of the 2003 NBA Finals, where in 46 minutes of play time, he recorded 21 points, 8 blocks, 10 assists, and 20 rebounds. He almost had a 20-20 quadruple double. This literally probably would have been the best stat line of all time had it actually happened, especially when the stakes are that high in the NBA Finals. The next one I want to mention is Game 1 of the 2008 playoffs, where the Spurs beat the Phoenix Suns by 2 points in overtime behind Tim Duncan's stat line of 40 points, 3 blocks, 5 assists, and 15 rebounds, while Tim played 51 minutes, an absolutely electric game with an even better stat line. And then there was that time where Tim played every single minute of Game 2 during the Western Conference Finals in 2001 against the Kobe and Shaq 3-peat Lakers, where Tim recorded 40 points, 4 blocks, 3 assists, and 15 rebounds. Having these kind of numbers on someone as dominant as Shaquille O'Neal in his prime is absolutely remarkable. I'm not asking any of you to change your opinions. I'm not asking you, to forcefully listen to what I say, but I'm asking you to just be a little more optimistic and do some research, watch some film, and just really pay attention to Tim Duncan. On my list all time, I have Tim Duncan at number 6. I think he could be number 5 though. The only people I have over Tim Duncan on my list is Jordan, Kareem, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Magic Johnson. You could easily swap out Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan though. You could even maybe swap out Tim Duncan and Magic Johnson. Either way, 4 to 6 in my opinion, and very, very humbly saying, I think it's very respectful. If you have him at 7, if you have him at 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever, I don't understand, but I respect your opinion, as this is exactly what this channel is about. If you made it this far, I appreciate your guys' support as always. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay happy, healthy, and blessed. Peace.